Okay, hello all. It's Annie here, and welcome to my channel. And if you are new in my channel is all about supporting caffeine quitters in their own healing journey. And today I'm very excited to invite my sweet friend Mandy from Texas. So, welcome, Mandy. And we are
Hello.
going to do this series of lives where we're gonna give you all the support and reassurance that we all really do get well. And some of us, it just takes more time than others. So you are all warmly welcome, and you can join the chat and put some questions there if you like, and we're gonna answer those questions later and during these conversations. So we're gonna just start now that I'm gonna give stage to Mandy and she can tell about herself and about her journey, and then we just move from there to our topic. So stage is yours, Mandy.
Oh, thank you, Annie. Thank you so much. Like you said, I'm Mandy, and I'm actually 34 months caffeine free as of yesterday. So that's kind of exciting. So I'm right behind you. I know you just hit 3 years. So
Yes,
congratulations to you.
thank you.
And yeah, I'm so excited to be here because I've been wanting to make videos or put myself out there for a long time. And I don't think I was ready to do it. You know, it's had so much healing going on. And as you know, it's just an up and down journey and it can be confusing at times, but also I always knew that what we're going through is what it is. It is healing.
Yes,
And if I can just say one of the main things I do want to talk about today is that we all do heal, like 100%. It just, when you hear the word time,
yes,
we don't know how long that really means. It's like 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days, 2 years. And so I think, because we've been buddies now, we've been friends now, what, a year now, right?
a year, about a year.
And when we were at 2 years, we were almost at 2 years at that time, and we had been hearing from everyone that around 2 years it gets so much better, and that at 2.5 and 3 years people were recovered, people were healed.
Yep.
100%. We kept hearing 100%, 100%, and I had my heart set on
Me
that
too.
number. And here I am, here you are, at 3 years and 2 months away from 3 years, and we're still healing.
Yes.
And the important part to look at that is it's okay that we're still healing. Like, there is nothing wrong with that. It's very normal. Are we better? Yes, I
Yes.
think I think so for sure. Actually, I had the COVID for the first time. So I'm getting over that, but it did not cause a wave of symptoms like I was really afraid that it was, because I had heard people that, they get COVID or they get sick and then their symptoms come back or whatever. And so that's something that I did want to talk about today, that, you could be drinking a glass of water, throughout the whole journey. That's all you drink is water. And then one day you put ice in your water and then you have a symptom or a panic attack, you have something flare up and you think it's the ice when it's just ice water. But so anything that we're doing, I think sometimes we think that it's causing the symptoms when maybe sometimes it is
Mm-hmm.
making it worse just because our system is so sensitized at times. But I think a lot of the time it's not just a lot of the time. I mean, it is part of the journey until we're done, healing, until we're recovered.
Yep.
Because no matter what, when you have anxiety, you still have anxiety. So if you're better and you're at 2 years, 3 years, and you still have some symptoms, yeah, you're going to have them because you still have anxiety. So,
Yes.
but the thing is that it does, here's the thing. If you are 100% free of the substance that caused this, because this can happen with any substance, right? It's just with us, it happened with caffeine. But
Yes.
if you are 100% free and you continue to go through this journey and you're still healing, you will heal. If you were not born with this happened because of substance. This happened because of a substance.
Yes.
We are not designed to have, oh, you were born this way, or you had this underneath the you were masking it or whatever. No, I don't believe we were masking anxiety and depression by any means, because especially with it coming and going, with the windows and the waves.
Yes.
So yeah, but anyway, I don't know if I at the very, very beginning of this video, if I really told you, thank you so much for everything that you've been doing. You are the pioneer for quitting caffeine. I mean, there's Cato, which we all, bow down to Cato. We all know Cato, but he has a different style. He's really good at telling how we 100% do heal, because he is I think he's at like 7-8 years free. And so and his videos were just done differently. He just has a different style, like I said. And you came on here. How long have you been doing videos now? 2 years?
Yeah, I think like I started like when I was 7 months. I did remove that video because I was like having so much adrenaline. That was finished, that video, and I was like I was still in the shock state. I was traumatized by the cold turkey, and I was just like speaking, and like I didn't know anything. I didn't know any of shit about this. But then from there, I think 11 months where I still look really like I look like I have been hit by the truck in that video, and I really was like I was just coming a little bit out from the very heavy stuff from all those first months, and then I decided that if I ever get better, and during I get better, I'm gonna spread this message that caffeine can cause a lot of damage and it can take long time to heal. Even I knew that people probably won't believe me, but I just knew that I have to do this.
And that is amazing, because and I thank you, and I know a lot of people thank you, because it is challenging to get on here and reveal your secrets. It's people don't want to share every single thing, and you're so good at it. And I feel like I like to do that, just like tell our truth, be open. It's hard to feel, it's you feel so transparent, you're so transparent, it's kind of scary to be vulnerable, but I think it's also, I don't know, I think the fact that you've been able to come on here even on your hard days, like I thank you so much, because I remember around like my 20 months, I still couldn't work out yet.
Yeah.
And you had made a video because I thought you could. And you're one of the only ones, that was making videos. And so I just remember I'd watch you, and I thought you had like this, you do have this light about you, and this just positive nature. And you had made a video around that time. I really needed to hear it, that you couldn't work out. And I was like, oh, you can't? Like, I wasn't happy that you could, that you couldn't work out, but the fact that.
Oh, what did happen? I did lost you, Mandy. Did the connection went? Okay.
Is it back?
Yeah, it's back. Something did happen, but yeah, now you're back.
Yeah.
So what you was about to say?
That happened.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that happened. And I just remember, I wasn't happy that you couldn't work out by any means, but just the fact that you couldn't and I couldn't, I was like, oh, okay, I thought,
I was just putting the chat, like chat is working, so it's good. You can put the thumbs up, everyone, if you see and the voice is working, because we are just testing this with Mandy. So It's really nice
Oh, are
to
there
see.
people in?
Yeah, there is Michelle is there, and she did put the thumbs up. So thank you, Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Maybe you can also see the chat there if you wanna follow
Yeah,
them.
if anybody has any questions. So I did, I used to be in the quitting, I was pretty active in the quitting caffeine group for about 2 years. I went in there every day. I have a lot of posts on there. I try to be positive and inspiring. Even though I had really, really hard days, a lot of my posts might seem like I was doing better than I was. I mean, it's not that I mean, it was my truth. Like the days that I would post stuff, I
Yeah.
did feel the way I felt. And then I noticed because I went back and looked at some of my posts the other day because it's been a while. I haven't been in for like 4 months.
Yeah.
And I went in and I noticed the day, I can tell the days that I wasn't having a good day. I would just put like a little, positive saying or something like that. And those were the days that I was having struggle.
Yeah.
But the days where I was feeling really good and really positive, I had like this, I would have like a long post. But anyway, I decided or I chose to get out of the group. And I think a lot of it has to do with, I think when people get to a certain point around 2 years, somewhere between 2 or 3 years, it just kind of organically happens, I think, for a lot of people. And then people either think like, oh, that person's, 100%, or they must be better because they're not in the group anymore. And maybe for some people it is, but for me, it just didn't seem like it served me anymore. Like, and it did, and I think the group is great.
Yeah.
But I think it just comes a time that when you're still healing, people don't want to hear
Yeah.
that, and then I had the wave, which I'll talk about,
Yes.
but yeah, it's been good. But also, so not only that, but in one of Cato's last videos, he talks about how two people with anxiety really can't help each other.
Yeah.
And you and I continue to talk, but I just really made the decision not to talk to too many people. Even though I was helping a lot of people that were behind me, when I had that last wave, I couldn't. I had to focus on me, and
Yes.
that was okay. And
Yeah.
that's something that I learned. Like being on caffeine, I did not know what the word boundaries meant. I had no idea what boundaries was.
Yeah.
I was a pushover. I had no backbone and I think it comes with like the fight or flight state.
Yes.
We want to be liked. And I think that if, 'cause I just noticed I was always just so nice to people all the time, just like overly nice. And it's like, am I really that nice of of a person? Or was it more because I was always worried about I want people to like me? Because if people like you, then you're safe. If you the more people you have around you. But I think that when you quit caffeine and you start to heal and you start to get more confidence naturally, and you're the further you go, the further away you are from that fight or flight state, even though we still have up and down symptoms and we're still healing. There's definitely something different about being free of the drug and to be healing. So that is one thing I want to talk about, focusing on the improvements. That's definitely an improvement. I mean, I'm so different than the way that I was on caffeine. I cared so much what people thought, and I still do in a sense, but not the same. It's different.
Yeah. And just Michelle did put chat that she wrote that I made a decision recently to yes more on boundaries with this recovery definitely. So yeah, really
Yes.
nice to hear that you also feel that. And I also wanna say a little thing before Mandy continues, because I did have that really huge setback like now in my 35 months it started, and I knew that probably many people thinks that it's something else, or it was the flu that did trigger that, or my exercise. But I just want to say that these waves can happen, and for me this was all about still my brain healing. And I know that in this journey there is a lot of naysayers and a lot of people who doubt. So I would like to have conversation with you, Mandy, this like maybe you can also open up, because you know you have had these waves also, and you know that every time the wave goes away, like now my wave have been going away slowly, so I'm feeling better so far. the best so far in this healing journey
That's
that I
awesome.
am now.
Yes, yes. So windows and waves. Yeah, I've always said it, the wave it is the healing, the symptoms are the healing. They suck all get out, but it is the journey. It is part of the journey. I've said this over and over again. We have to go through the waves to get to the other side. You have to. And and the thing is, everyone ahead of us says the same thing. And that's who I really try to listen to. The people that have been through this, the people that are 100% quit, and they went through the same things, they had the same symptoms, roughly the same timeline, and they are now on the other side, and they say the same thing. They're like, yep, you have to go through the waves to get to the other side. And so there's something about embracing the waves, they're really, really tough, but it's tricky. It's tricky to say. It's not like I'm masochistic or anything. Like, I love the waves, but we all experience it. We all experience the symptoms. And instead of, or trying to, I think, because I wanted to talk about acceptance and surrendering. And I think that's what it's about. But I think it takes months and months to, we can all say that we're surrendered. We can all say that we've accepted this, but there's days where you don't,
Yeah.
you're upset, you're pissed off.
Yep.
Yeah. But so I think once you get to the point where you start to accept this journey and understand that that's what it's about, like that in itself is a process.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so what I've noticed for me, it's about there's like quarters through the year. It's like 4 quarters of three.
Yep.
So 3 months in a window. And this gets very technical, like one of the things I really want to stress and address is that, like, even though this is part of the journey, that getting all technical with like neurotransmitters and adrenals and, it's 3 months here, 3 months in a window, 3 months in a wave, like that's all good and everything. I just want to stress that we heal no matter what. We heal. Like, getting all technical and everything is one thing, but sometimes you can get kind of caught or lost down that rabbit hole of researching. And I think it's really good in the beginning, but then sometimes throughout this journey you get bored and like you just want to look up videos just because you're bored, or you have a bad day and you're like, is this really what it is? And deep down it is. But anyway, my point is that we feel, I mean, it's just a long journey, it can take a really long time. And the doubt, the anxiety causes the doubt, and the doubt makes you question everything, especially in the wave. I mean, I'm pretty much in a window now. I think I'm going into a wave, but that's what I was saying. So it can get kind of complicated, and I want people to focus on the fact that, like, the main thing is that we heal, but I do want to bring up what I've experienced with windows and waves. So I think this is how it's gone pretty much. There's 4, like I said. And so there's a window, a wave, a window, and a wave throughout the year.
Mm-hmm. And
this is just what's happened with me. And so, but also in the window, there still can be a little wave in the window because especially for women. I mean, men have hormones too, but especially for women with our wonderful cycles and our period cycle.
Yes.
So even in the window, the window is just the relief. It's like time. It's like a little relief time. I have never had a window that's been completely symptom free.
Same.
I usually have brain fog, a little bit of DPDR.
Yep.
In a window, headaches sometimes, a little blahness, a little blah.
Same.
purpose and motivation. It's weird. It's interesting. Like motivation, it's different. Like I want things now, you know, like in the beginning, you could have handed me $1 million and for what? Like I didn't want anything. I didn't know how to connect. I didn't know how to, I mean, it's such classic drug withdrawal when you think about it. Like,
Yeah.
I would ask my husband, why are we here? Like, what is life for? I mean, it was scary, you know, I never felt that way before in my whole life.
It's very scary.
And I think even very scary. And like at that time, I didn't really know what it was because I was clueless about caffeine. I know so much more about the drug now. And it is a drug.
It is hard rock.
In
Hell of a
any
drug.
amount. Yeah. And so, and if we continue, which I hope we do, continue to do this series, maybe I'll explain a little bit about one day about how long I was on it and everything.
Yes.
I forgot to mention all that, but which was 35 years.
Yeah.
Every single day of my life in some form. But yeah, so like what I've noticed, just going back to the windows and waves, because it can get kind of confusing, but like I really do think it's every 3 months, but sometimes it can seem like the wave was a month and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But I think sometimes the whole wave isn't as intense. Like sometimes you can like kind of go into a wave and you can kind of tell like, ooh, I'm going into one, kind of like this one.
Yes.
So I think it's like the spring wave. This all gets so technical and it's like,
it's good.
We've become like our own little science.
I like your way because you really know how to put these things on the table. And I don't know how to say this like you do. So
Well, thank you. But like everything you say is just, it hits me. It hits home. I can relate to every single thing you say every time. And yeah, but it's just funny because it's like we have to become like our own little scientists, you know. We have to like figure this journey out as it goes. And
yep.
This is just what I'm very big on like numbers and dates and things. And so I'm real. So I guess that kind of plays in with like the cycles. Like I remember February, I remember last July, I remember every month how it went. And that's another thing too. Every single cycle, especially in the wave, is different.
Yes. That's how I have noticed that.
Yes, like every healing symptom is different. I call them healing symptoms because it's all about healing. And now some can come back.
Yes.
Because if you think about it, it's like you're going through, your brain is going through another cycle of, so it's like, oh, the insomnia, because like insomnia came back in my big way. I call it a tsunami type way.
Heavily. It came very heavily for me back in this last wave.
Yeah. And I was like, what the heck? Like, why? Because I always thought, so something I have learned, because we learn along the way, we learn along the journey ourselves. I always thought, and it does work like this, but I always thought it would feel like this too, that, you know, we constantly, it goes up and up and up, and with the dips or the waves.
Mm-hmm.
And the beginning was really, really bad. And then I had my first wave around like 6 or 7 months. And it sucked, but it was manageable. I got through it, you know, and then I was in another wave. And then that's when I came up with like, and I heard it too, but then I started to experience it that, okay, there's something to this. Every single time I come out of a wave, I'm in a new, I would call it a new phase up, but then I think we started saying upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you get like a little gift or a little reward. You get something back to yourself every single time you come out of that wave. It's like it gives you, like you go through this terrible, terrible wave, all these symptoms. It might take weeks or months or however long it takes your body. And then you slowly go fade into the window, and you're like, oh my God, I am better. I'm better. And with this last wave, I never thought I was going to come out of it. I thought I was going to the doctor again. Excuse me. But what I notice is that, so you got a window, and then you have a spring, then there's like the spring. This is how it's been happening for me. Then there's a window in the spring, which isn't as bad. And then the summer window is like the best, the best. And then I'll have a wave in the fall or the winter. And that's usually a really extreme one. And so my one around 18 months, it was pretty intense. But I guess because it was still, before 2 years, my brain just kind of let me, if I was like laying in bed that day all day or whatever, I, I kind of just was like, okay, I'm still kind of, in the beginning stage, even though it's 18 months, I'm like, I'm still in the beginning.
Yes.
But I think something like mentally, like after 2 years, it was very physical too, but it did feel just like in every wave. We always say, "Oh my God, this is just like the beginning." I have
Yes.
said that every
Yes.
single,
Me too. Me too.
certain symptoms, like, oh, this is just like the beginning, but it wasn't compared to this last one. I mean, this last one literally knocked me down.
Yeah.
It felt like that, And but here's the thing. I kept telling myself, I mean, I was talking with you, I was talking with a few other people that I'm so thankful for, that helped me get through it with a little bit of grace. That I kept telling myself, this feels just like the beginning. If this feels just like the beginning and you got through the beginning, you're going to get through this too. Because like nothing can be worse than the beginning. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it
No.
can be worse, and that's how our body reacts.
Yeah.
So like you got through that. That took 4.5 months because I started getting my first kind of windowy relief around 4.5 months at the beginning of this. And
Yeah, pretty much the same.
it was real, it happened. And I did. I got through this one too. And
Yes, you did.
yeah, and that's something else that we've talked about together that that really scared you. My wave, kind of, it scared me. It kind of scared you because you hadn't experienced, you had your wave, because all waves suck. Is there chat?
Yeah, I just trying to like update the chat because some reason this doesn't update it. So, but now I'm re-updating it. So, but there is. Michelle did say it really can be scary. Yes, it's true.
Michelle Leopold. Yes. Hey, girl. I know Michelle.
Okay, now
When you said her name first, I had to see the whole name.
Yeah, it seems that I have a little bit like problems with the chat, but now it's starting to work again, so it's good. Thank you, Michelle, for all the messages. Really nice to have you here.
Yeah, I'm reading through. I've been more
I
insomnia
also
than
can
usual.
say when you're reading those that in this last setback wave, which have been like the worst for me since beginning, like I had that other wave in my about 27 months, but when I did have panic attack and really heavy anhedonia, but I was still some way functional. But in this last setback, I had so bad panic attacks, and that scary thoughts, intrusive thoughts came back, and I couldn't even walk. I was just, and when I say that, it's meaning that I'm so messed up in my head, like my head was so full of brain fog, DPDR disconnection, like you just cannot believe when I was like before that I was already better but not 100%, so I thought it was over, and like I said in my videos, I'm just starting to move on from this stuff to the like I'm healed, and like many of you probably know that I have made a lot of videos when I'm saying this is over already almost, and that's actually how I felt in those my good windows, good moments. I felt that I was already done, and then when I did hit by a wave, I was like, no, I'm not done. And like I have been saying you, Mandy, in this my journey, you have been so amazing support because I have been very stubborn. I have been, no, I'm not gonna, like I'm healed, and like fuck that, I wasn't healed at all, but for me it was so hard to believe like how damaged my brain have been, and that it takes time, and you have been really helping me to understand that it's people heal longer than 3 years from this, and I am one of those, and that's why this support channel is very important to people who are like us. And those people who heal faster, of course, they don't need this kind of support, and thank God for that, because not everyone's gonna be long hauler. We have to remember that. But
right,
but
yeah,
some of us are.
That's so important right there. That is like one of the most important things to talk about, that where people get confused, you know, why does this happen to some people and not everybody else? And a lot of people are not quitting caffeine, first of all. And some people just, here's the analogy that I love that I kind of learned from Cato, but we're all going up this mountain. You know, the mountain is life. It represents life. And some people fall off the mountain, you know, or, you know, some people call it a crash, like an adrenal crash or whatever, but they're trucking up the mountain and, you know, some people can go 60, 70, 80 years. And I like to think that I like to add my own little analogy to it, that we all have a backpack on when we're on caffeine. The backpack is the caffeine, and then how full the backpack can get are the symptoms. And I think you're the same way. I know you were the same way for 30, 35 years. We had symptoms on caffeine. We were functioning. And that was when I was watching your videos and you would say certain things like, oh, I was fucked up. I had OCD. I had this and this and that, but I was functioning. And I was like, yes, me too. You know, like it wasn't until I quit that I couldn't drive or talk or make sense, or, you know, but yeah, here we were, you know, on this drug our whole life, having major PMS and PMDD, which I didn't even know until I was like, I'm 44 now, but I didn't even know that it was PMS. Well, I knew it was kind of PMS, but I didn't know that there was this thing called PMDD until my mom told me when I was like 33. And so for about 10 years, 10 or so years, 10 or 11 years, I've been trying to quit caffeine. Well, but like I said earlier, I was so clueless about caffeine. I had been looking up stuff that said to get rid of your PMS, naturally, one of the protocols was to quit coffee. And I consumed all forms of caffeine. You know, I consumed it all, not just coffee, but I did consume a lot of coffee. So I would try to quit coffee here and there, and never successful, but I was always drinking like green tea, energy drink. You know, those little white, I drank White Monsters, but those little 5-hour energies. I used to be and that's another thing too. Like I am so much more organized, like with my car. Like my car is so clean now. When I was on caffeine, oh my God, I would just throw those 5-hour energies in the back of my car. Like I had, like they'd be in my door handle, like, or in my console. Like they were everywhere, just trash everywhere. And then it was probably around that time, because I'd also, in the protocol, it was like quit alcohol, you know, get your diet better, take certain supplements, which now I don't really, I think supplements are kind of a scam. I don't really, I think it's just eat your, you know, they're expensive. And if you have anxiety and your system doesn't work right, your intestines and your digestion's all screwed up, which, oh my gosh, I had the worst digestion on caffeine and up and down healing from it. If you're all jacked up with anxiety, you're not absorbing nutrients properly anyway. Yep. And so if you're taking all these like expensive, you know, you don't feel good. So you're thinking like, oh, I need all these supplements, and you're taking the supplements, you're not absorbing them anyway. Like it's just, the trick is to get the caffeine out of your life, get the anxiety low, which will happen in time.
Yep.
And then your body just starts to absorb the food, and you don't need supplements anyway. So, so like I had crazy symptoms on caffeine like you did. And I think that's another thing that has kept me strong, getting through this journey with a little bit more grace than what you would think would be. I'm just so thankful to be free of the drug, honestly. Like I say that all the time
Yeah.
because I had no idea how it was affecting me all those years. All those years. I mean, when I look back and I can get kind of pissed off, I'm like,
Yes.
we just didn't know,
Yeah, like all the
you know?
intrusive thoughts that I had since very young age, and all those thoughts that I do something bad, or that I am very bad, or that I harm someone, or all the bad thoughts. Like I thought that there's gonna not be answer to those, like until I quit caffeine, and I knew that it was, in my case, it was the cause and all the mental illness. So I
Yeah,
wasn't
it
born with
was.
that. We don't born with the intrusive thoughts or anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. And when I would hear you talk about that, I knew it. I knew I found someone who, because I've talked to so many people along this journey that are just amazing, but when I would hear you speak your truth like that, I know it's hard to share. Oh, I had these crazy intrusive thoughts. It's like, me too. Like, oh my God, me too. I would think that to myself. And like the more you would talk and the more you would share, the more I felt, there really is something to this because of, again, that anxiety causes the doubt and, puts more intrusive thoughts in your head and all this stuff. But that it does fade, the thoughts fade. But then in a way they can sneak back in
Yes,
because
yes.
that's part of the process of the brain having to go through. Cato says in one of his videos, he's like, I think it's one from like 2 years ago, maybe. He's like, it's just going to throw everything up on the wall and whatever sticks. And then whatever falls down needs to whatever's falling down needs to probably go through a process again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to get thrown up again on the wall and then more stuff is going to stick. So that's all that's happening when we're going through a wave, is that it's just doing its process. And then we get in the way, we're like,
Yes.
forget this. It sucks. Like, why is this happening to me?
Yes.
And, we get all weirded out. And one thing Cato says that I love, he's like, just sit the F down and like get out of the way, because the brain and the body knows what it's doing. And take a back seat. If you're sitting on the couch all day in a wave, like that is okay. Because I think, so this is also teaching me that it's okay to not be so productive all the time and just to be alive and to be, it's like, because we want purpose, and this kind of that is what it takes away from us. It takes away our motivation and our purpose. But it's okay to just exist for a while. It's okay to just get through the day and eat food and live. Like that's what he says. He says that through all of his videos. And it saved me. I mean, it helped me get through it with that grace I was talking about. But it's like, yeah, all I have to do today is eat. It's all I have to do. And drink some water. I might not even go outside, or maybe I do go outside. And then, I can because we can really beat ourselves up in this journey and feel lazy and feel worthless. And we're not. And I've been saying this forever. We are sober and we are healing. Like, how important. You are doing something. You're healing. You're allowing your body the opportunity to heal. Not that many people that quit alcohol, a lot of them, they're sucking down the caffeine, smoking cigarettes, doing their thing. And that's great. They're sober from alcohol. Great. They needed to. I'm not saying that they didn't need to get rid of the alcohol, but they're still consuming major drugs like nicotine and caffeine are so bad. And that's another thing. When you sit there and say you're at 3 years and I sit there and say I'm at 34 months and we're still healing and people don't want to hear it or they don't like it, we're kind of giving, I think when people say there's no way you're still healing, we're not giving the credit that caffeine needs. It needs its credit of it is a terrible poisonous drug.
Yeah.
And it's a stimulant drug that it's effective. It's a central nervous system stimulant. And why can't if you're healing, if you're at 6 months, this is a big one. This trips me out. If you're at 6 months or 9 months and feeling like complete crap, have all these symptoms, going through all this stuff, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's caffeine. Yeah, that's still normal. And then you're at 2 years or 2.5 years or 3 years, and you're like, oh, I've had this symptom come back, or I'm in a wave or whatever. Oh, no, it's something else. There's no way that you're still
Yeah,
healing
you're
from
just
it.
mentally ill or underlying issues or like it's not normal. And for me, like hearing those exercise, like it's not normal that you are 40 and you cannot exercise hard. And that's why I have stopped like caring, like if the people wants to like follow my channel and they wants to hear that message, that's what I'm here to share. I'm not here to get followers, or I don't I don't say that you should quit caffeine. I'm just wanting to share what is my truth. And if my truth is that I'm still healing, that's what I'm gonna give you. I'm not gonna give you candies and and like all the goodies that
Right?
you probably would want. I cannot give that, but I
I
can give
like
you the
that.
truth, my own truth.
Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, and thank goodness you have been making these videos. I don't know what I would have done without your videos. It's like, because there's no one really sharing. There's a few people ahead of me that have left the group. Like I said, most people get out around, 2, 3 years, in between 2 or 3 years. But yeah, it's such a, I don't want to talk about it too much because it can upset me, the naysayers.
Mm-hmm.
But it happens, we have friends and family that don't get it,
Yes.
which is understandable because no one can get it if they haven't been through it. That's with
No
anything
one.
in
Yeah.
life.
And do you have
But
like
I literally,
yeah, I just
huh?
wanted to hear that. How do you feel that, like you said, that no one really gets this? Like, what would you say about those people who are like going through this and their family doesn't understand, and they are like finding and going to the doctors and finding to some other answers? Like, what would you want to say about those people? The reassurance that they are not
Yeah, it's
crazy.
so, yeah, that we all, I believe, have people in our lives that don't get it. I think that's just part of it. That's what I was saying. Like that's why I want to talk about this, because that is such an important part of the journey. It's almost like we're writing a little, because there's no manual for this really, so we're like writing the manual as we go,
Yes.
and and navigating, I've always called it navigating through the naysayers. Like that is part of the journey, learning how to let that go. It's hard. For example, my father-in-law straight up told me in my last wave, because they all thought that they're like, you're fine, you're normal, because you can't see this it's a silent injury.
Yeah.
Like even right now, I'm sitting here talking,
Yes.
blah 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 blah, but I'm like brain fog, but it's not bad. It's
Yep.
not like it. And that's what I want to stress since the beginning. Focus on the improvements. There are so many, even in the wave, even when the symptoms all come back, it is part of the healing. Like, it's not like, oh, my symptoms are back, or, oh, I'm in a wave. I'm messed up. Like something's wrong with me. No, like you're actually right on track.
Yes.
You just got to keep going.
Yep.
And the only, so about my father-in-law straight up told me, there is no way you're still healing from caffeine. And I even threw in, well, I also quit alcohol because and I did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of downplayed how awful caffeine is, because, and that's what we start to do, because no one believes it. But like I said earlier, not many people are quitting, and then not many people have fallen off the mountain.
No,
But they have
that's
symptoms.
true.
They're going back to that analogy. Like you're going up that mountain and you have that backpack on. I mean, how heavy was our backpack the whole time on caffeine? But we were fine. We were
Yes,
consuming
we
our
were
caffeine.
functional.
We weren't fine. We were functional. We were definitely not optimal. And so my father-in-law, he's 70 something, and I love him so much, but he has insomnia. This is on caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
He has insomnia. He talks about, he has acid reflux issues. He has tinnitus. But see, he was also a pilot, And so I told him one day, I was like, tinnitus is from caffeine. And he goes, I mean, in my experience, this is all like, we all have to say
Yes,
this.
yes,
My experience,
yes. We also.
my journey, it was from caffeine. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, it wasn't the 35 years of flying big jets, you know? And I'm like, maybe, but it's probably also the caffeine. But anyway, like he kind of knows, he definitely knows that the caffeine is messing with his stomach acid, his stomach lining, but he takes prescription medicine for it. Like he's okay with the consequences of what caffeine's causing him. His backpack's
Yes,
full,
yes,
but he doesn't care. Like because he's on the drug. Remember how we were talking about how like when you're on the drug, you can't rationalize the drug. Like for
no,
some reason,
no.
there's a word for it, and I can't remember what the word is called. But when you're on a drug, you take up for it.
Yeah, it changed our brain also because it separates the left and the right side of the brain. It does that. There is studies in that, so it's kind of make you more like a pipe thinking. You just cannot understand that before you really go out.
Yeah, you can't. So I guess for people going through it, just to help them, like I remember with anything, okay, you can't do something. Like my mom, she just invited me to go to something. And sometimes I can go and I can do things and then some, but I still can't. This is what people don't understand. So my mom is more supportive in the
Mm-hmm.
fact that like she's not sitting there telling me, no way, this is still from caffeine, but she still doesn't get it. Like she still doesn't understand because she hasn't been through it
Mm-hmm.
like we have. And so she's not telling me no, that there's no way, but it's still frustrating when, I'm having a good day and I can do things. And then when I'm having a bad day, she doesn't, well, you were just having a better day the other day. And it's like,
Yes.
and then my mother-in-law, she'll say stuff like, well, Mandy, isn't life just ups and downs and hard? And, life isn't perfect. And it's like, see, you're saying all the wrong things. Like you have no idea. Like, yeah, life's got all kinds of stuff, but when you're healed, you can handle life. Like especially when I've been in a window, and like my dog, she passed away when I was in a window, and it was the absolute worst thing in the whole wide world. But for some reason, I was in that window. I was able to kind of, and this happened with my uncle passing away too.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to, I was sad, but it was like normal sadness,
Yes.
like life
Yes.
stuff, like she's talking about. It was like this normal grief.
Yes.
And, but then I started going into the wave, and that feeling of the wave, it's very chemical. It's very hormonal.
Yes.
It's, you can tell that that's not natural, but
Yeah.
but the way that I felt with the passing, I was able to handle it with like, with acceptance a little bit, or just like, I was sad, but it was like, this is life, and I've never really felt that way before. Because when my other uncle passed away 3 years ago, I was on caffeine.
Yes.
And I swear to you, I was at his funeral. I was crying so hard. I had snot coming out of my nose. My niece turned around at the funeral and looked at me like, oh my God, like I could not stop crying. I was like blubbering, crying. And I know it was because I was on caffeine. I just couldn't deal. I couldn't function with life, even though I was functioning and I was able to drive it's so weird. It's like when you're on it and then when you quit, how you're you're functioning on it, but you're not functioning. And then when you quit, you're not functioning, but you're more functional
Yes. Yes.
it's so
Like you
weird.
are, like your resonance is more clear when you are out. You feel like you start to feel your natural self, but your body have to go through so much healing, and your brain that it's really hard to process that all, and that's why the brain cannot process that once. It's very smart system that we have, but we don't really understand that because we just want to get a quick fix, like many of us, and that's why many people relapse and go back, because there is no quick fix for some of us who did fall off the mountain like this. One thing that probably we should start to end soon, but one
Yes.
thing that I want to say, and you can also say something about this, like, because there are people who doesn't get hit like we did, that we did accidentally cold turkey, and our system did have go that limit. That doesn't happen for all the people. But when that happens, and when we have that panic attack, and when we start to go, like, our nervous system get that hit, it can be really long and hard journey. So I think we also we are always respecting all those people who heal faster. So I just wanna remind you people that this is our stories, and there is a lot of people who needs a lot of time, but there are also people who haven't been messing their system. That if you are there, you are very fortunate, and I'm very happy that you have been healing faster, and I hope that you won't go back to drug. But some of us, we don't
Exactly.
have that opportunity even go back to drug. We don't have that. Our brain is so damaged that if we would do that, it's, I don't know what would be happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even want to think about it, but that, and I know we have to go, but that is interesting that the brain, it still wants it, like we don't want it, but the brain's like, still after all this time, really, I mean, it is finding balance again. It is it is getting back to homeostasis, but it's still having those kind of hiccups. But anyway, I'm so long-winded because I have so much to say, but
Yes.
just to help people, like, it doesn't matter when it honestly doesn't matter, because you just live your life, you heal, you get through this, and when we're eventually on the other side, no one's going to remember. We're not even going to remember. I have had so many people that are on the other side that tell me, when the anxiety is gone. And that's another thing too. It's like, this gets, it's so mental for like years, and then it
Mm-hmm.
starts to get more physical. The healing gets more physical. And then I think that's when we're more functional. It's almost like it was the way when we were on caffeine. I think around like 3 years, you get to where you still have some symptoms, but you're functioning again, like on caffeine. And then that starts to fade, and those symptoms, and then it just kind of goes. Because I've asked people who have healed, I'm like, when? Like, because that's what we all want to know. When were you healed? And they're like, I honestly can't tell you, because of the way it fades so slowly. But they were like, around 3 years. I think that is why people say 100% at 3 years,
Yes.
because it's so much better that the symptoms that you do still have, maybe you think like, oh, this is just life or something. And then you just keep going, and eventually, like a year or two later, you're like, holy crap, it's even better than it, but then at 3 years. And so then you kind of know, oh, I was still healing. But it's definitely, even with the waves, it is part of it. We're not broken. It does take longer. Not everybody's falling off the mountain. That's
No.
so true. We all heal. We will all one day, like Cato says, he goes, I didn't even know how to spell anxiety. He's so funny. He's like, I didn't even know how to spell anxiety before this whole thing. He's like, and now he's like, it's so amazing how your brain just doesn't even go there. He said, and I know that's all you want to talk about now, and it's all you're into right now. He said, but when you're completely on the other side, you won't want to talk about it. So he said, it's like having an abusive boyfriend. It's like,
Yes.
when you're finally done with that boyfriend, you don't want to talk about him anymore, talk to him anymore. You're done. He's poo-poo to you. He's like, that's how anxiety is going to be. You're not going to want to talk about it anymore. Cause I'm like, I want to write a book and I want to do this. I've been wanting to do that. He's like, yeah, but you're still healing. So it's just
Yes.
so much better. It really is. It's so, I have to stress that it is. And if you watch Cato's videos, the last like 2 or 3 or 4, I don't know, he really does talk about how he talks in code. He's like, it gets better.
Yes.
He doesn't say healed at a certain point. He's like, it gets better and better. And then when you get to joy, he's like, what did he say? He said, yeah, I was better, but I wasn't joyful.
Yeah.
He said that comes later. That's the gift later. So
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me, and we're going to continue to do this, and I have so much more to talk about
Yeah, and
and share.
before we end, I promise that now if you have some questions in the chat, so now is the
Oh,
time,
yeah.
so we can take a few questions. And like Michelle said, that it's nice to have Mandy here, and that you should come back here, and definitely we are going to do more of these for you, because we need to do
Yes.
this. And so let's put the questions. If there is, for my screen, this seems that there is 3 people here, but I don't know, sometimes there could be more. And so you can hit the questions to Mandy.
Yeah. So Laura was saying, yeah, her friends don't understand. Yeah. Here's another thing.
Yes.
I don't know how you feel. I don't know how certain people feel about this, but one thing Cato said was, you have to learn to forgive yourself for having those types of friends in the first place. And I was like, because a lot of my friends, I don't really, they still drink alcohol, they still drink caffeine. I can't make them quit. I don't even try.
No,
But
no, no.
so, yeah, I just see the difference. Like, maybe these people weren't really supposed to be in my life anyway. And maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe in time they will. I don't know. But it's almost like because of the fight or flight, we wanted these friends so bad, and now they're treating us a certain way, or we really see how people are acting like we're this or we're that. And maybe they're not supposed to be in our lives. I don't know. Forgiving ourselves for having these friends in the first place. I was like, that really resonates.
Yes.
Because yeah, it's all part of it. I know it. Everyone talks about that their friends and family don't understand. It's like, no one can. You can't unless you're going through it. You just can't. That's why we have each other.
Yes. There is.
But yeah, we'll do this. We'll do this again. Is there?
Yeah. But
Forgive ourselves for not knowing ourselves well or knowing life for other people.
and
Exactly.
thank you for so much for following, and that you will came here, and like that I'm very thankful for all of you, and that's why my heart goes out with you, because and we all who go through this, we really are so empathic, and that's why I'm a little bit too empathic in this journey. That's why I cannot take those support calls yet, because it's too close what happened to me. It's too difficult, because I get very emotional, and like I said, I'm not a therapist, but in the future when I'm past this and it's not so close to me and what happened, I'm gonna do that supporting, because that's what my heart says me to do. But I hope you understand, when you go through hell, when you have been in the hell and you go a little bit out from the hell, and then you see other people's, they are deep in the hell, and you are see they are suffering and panicking, and you go a little bit back from their hell, and you don't want to do that, or you can't do that. So that's why I need to give myself more time. But the YouTube and this kind of stuff that I do with Mandy, it's not stressing me, because we are still so much more healed.
Yeah. And I think that was another thing that really helped us, is that we are so alike, but we also kind of, I think, both our energy, we both put kind of a positive spin on it. And that's just naturally the way that we are. So I think we can just kind of naturally bonded over that, because we're all different, personalities, and our personalities just kind of, is the way that we were on caffeine, and then the way that we're healing, and then our personalities. I think it just kind of helped. But yeah, I'm the same way with that last wave, because I was helping a lot of people, and that last wave, I was like, I can't, and that's okay. That is okay. It's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
And it's okay to just focus on ourselves. It really is. It's so important.
Yeah. So this was the very amazing episode, our first one. So next one probably will be amazing too. But we thank you all. And Mandy, I'm gonna chat you after this. We go off the live. We're gonna continue to have our talk. But I'm gonna just say, all the watchers, thank you for watching, and keep going. You will get better. We all will.
It's just time.
Just time.
It really is.
Yes. So Bye all.
Thanks for having me, Annie.
Thank you,